glad that you are here with us today so that we can make some connections. On Sunday, we read the story about Jonah, and he had heard something from God. God told him to go to Nineveh, and he said, I don't want to do that. So he started walking, and he walked the opposite way, walked until he got to the sea, and then he paid somebody to say, hey, take me out on your boat. And so they took him out on the boat. And then God made a huge storm come, and the boat was going all over the place. And then Jonah said, guys, it's me. God's mad at me. Toss me overboard and I'll take care of this. And he did. And God sent a big, we don't know what type of fish. We've heard whale before, but a big fish to gulp him up. And he lived inside the belly of that fish for 3 stinky days. Oh my. So, before we read our story for today, let's go hang out with Mr. Bruce and make some connections. Take it away, Mr. Bruce.
Hi friends, we're gonna do one again that we've done before. Except instead of we are marching in the light, we're gonna sing we are singing in the light. 1, 2, 3. We are singing in the light of God. 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 We are singing, oh, we are singing in the light of God. We are singing, oh, we are singing in the light of God. 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 We are singing, oh, we are singing in the light of God. We are singing, oh, we are singing in the light of God.
Welcome back. Well, after Jonah was in that smelly fish for 3 days, he got spit out onto the seashore. And he decided, I better listen to God. So he started walking, and he walked towards Nineveh. When he got to Nineveh, he said what God wanted him to say. Sometimes we are told to do things, and we don't want to. But sometimes our wants don't matter. And that is what is going to happen in our story today. We are going to read Mother Bruce. Not Mr. Bruce, Mother Bruce. Mother Bruce. Bruce was a bear who lived all by himself. He was a grump. He did not like sunny days. He did not like rain. He did not like little cute animals. Bruce only liked one thing: eggs. He collected them from all over the forest. Good morning, Miss Sparrow. But Bruce didn't eat eggs raw like other bears. Instead, he cooked them in fancy recipes that he found on the internet. Bears have the internet. One day, Bruce came across a recipe for hard-boiled goose eggs drizzled with honey salmon sauce. So he went to get the ingredients. Look, he's taking a shopping cart. First, he caught a few salmon. Look, he's got the shopping cart in the water with him. Then he collected honey from a local beehive. He liked to support local businesses, you see. Last, he went to Mrs. Goose's nest to pay her a visit. And then he says, "Are these eggs free-range organic?" At home, Bruce prepared the eggs for hard boiling, but the fire in his stove fizzled, so he went out to get more wood. But when he came back, he was met with an unwelcome surprise. Mama! Bruce became the victim of mistaken identity. Bruce wanted hard-boiled eggs, not goslings. He supposed he could settle for buttered goslings on toast, but for some reason, he lost his appetite. Bruce scooped up the little geese and stomped back to their nest, only to find Mrs. Goose had flown south early. Right here he says, I need to find out what Mrs. Goose's return policy is, and this one says, be back in April, Mrs. Goose. Bruce left the goslings there anyway and went back home. Mama, Mama, but he was followed. Bruce was very stern and said things like, go away, and I am not your mother, and also, I liked you better when you were eggs. It didn't work. Goslings always follow their mother, even if she is a he and he is a bear. Mama, Mama, look, see him walking in line? Bruce was stuck with them. He tried to make the best of it. It was hard. Look, they're getting all over his... He's wearing them like a baby. And then they're trying to eat, and they're like, blah, ew, yuck. And look, they're all sleeping on him. As seasons passed, Bruce watched the pesky goslings grow older. It says annoying baby geese, stubborn teenage geese, boring adult geese. Then one fall afternoon, he saw other goose families flying south. Finally, he'd be rid of these geese, and he could take a long winter nap. Bruce explained migration, but they didn't listen. Bruce needed the geese to leave, so he got creative. Nothing worked. These geese would not leave Bruce. He's got them in radio-controlled cars. Sigh. So Bruce decided to pack some bags and take the geese into town. They boarded a bus and migrated to Miami. Now every winter, Bruce and his geese head south together. They laze about at the beach in tacky shirts, sipping ice-cold lemonade, while Bruce dreams of new recipes. Recipes that don't hatch. Turtle, Mama. Much like Jonah, Bruce was given a task, even though he didn't want it. But eventually he made the best of it. He followed his task through to the end. And he now gets to go to sunny Florida every winter. You guys, if you hear God or someone else talking to you and they give you a task that you're not so sure about, especially if it is God, if God gives you a task, listen, because God would never ask you to do things that you're not capable of doing. I hope you guys have a great week. I love you. I miss you. Bye.